that have fought and died in the many battles and wars since this time period.
Dudes could get like back behind the British or something as they're marching onto the field. You'll see in a minute they're marching in a column of maybe 4s or 6s or something, and then they will display from that marching column into a line of battle across the field. There's some British light infantry also out there on the field as an advance guard, and then you can see the main body of the British troops coming on. You'll see that not everybody is necessarily engaged at once. You don't want to deploy any more men in battle than you have to. So you try to keep a reserve, and you really try to deploy the smallest number of people that you could, because there's less risk. Now you'll see a problem here. These Continental troops are turned going one way, firing at the Loyalists, but there's some British regulars marching straight at them from the side. So they're going to have to make a decision which way they're going to face there, and which enemy is, or which portion of the enemy force is of the greatest danger. Now, to them, what can happen here is we could end up with a almost separate battle between the Loyalists and the Dragoons on one part of the field, and then the main part of the army in another part of the field. So it's really important that these commanders keep in mind where everybody is and try not to let any of the groups of their forces get separated from the rest and then get cut off and captured. You see the congressional forces have they've got a couple of artillery pieces here. I think one came off a naval vessel. I'm not sure about the other one. You should, at the beginning of the battle, you won't see many casualties, partly because if you die at the beginning of the battle, it's no fun because I guess you fly there in the grass the whole time. But really, the greatest number of casualties would start happening about when the sides are 50 yards apart. And given the size of our field, we have to diminish that even a little bit more. I didn't see it behind the tree. The British have at least one artillery piece on their side as well. You can see everybody out here is pretty well trained. Sometimes the enlistments on the Continental side were very short. And so a lot of times you had a lot of new recruits out on the field and you didn't know whether you could trust them at all. These look pretty steady considering those guys in red on the other side are career soldiers of the largest empire in the world in the 18th century. So they are pretty scary people, those British redcoats. And so it took a pretty well-trained soldier to stand against them. And it looks like that's pretty much what we have here on the congressional side. Now you'll see they're kind of rearranging a little bit on the congressional side. They have their artillery pieces kind of couldn't break through the ranks, so they need to get out of the way so that they're not shot by their own artillery pieces. So they're doing a little rearranging now that the artillery pieces have been cleaned and are ready to go, to let the artillery see what they can do against the British. And you'll see the artillery on the side, well, on both sides actually, the artillery in the middle, and then they've got infantry on either side so that the infantry, the artillery can stay basically static, and then your infantry can move where it needs to go without getting in front of the cannon off to the sides. You'll notice that the two sides generally do not load all the muskets at once, or all the long arms, pistol arms, and then all fire, because then, oops, got some injuries over there, artillery got its range. Everybody has an empty weapon, then it's easier for the other side to do bayonet charge. So you'll see they're firing by divisions. One division will fire, then the next, and then that gives the first one a chance to reload. So you've always got somebody on your side with loaded weapons that can fire a volley. So what you're really trying to do is not kill people on the other side so much as those straight lines of mass troops. You want to prevent them from being close enough to you to do a bayonet attack. So basically what you are doing is trying to stop the advance, however you have to do this. Now it looks to me like the artillery over on the British side has only solid shot. They could have grape or canister shot, which is kind of a cluster of small projectiles that would take down more men. That's anti-personnel shot. It looks to me like they have mostly solid shot, and so they only took out kind of a narrow group of men right down the middle of the congressional forces. So we'll have to see, do they have any anti-personnel shot over there once they've gotten their range and elevation now. Relaying commands to load and fire weapons, because the officers, frankly, after they've been out there yelling and breathing in all that black powder smoke, are getting hoarse. Numbers have been thinned out a little bit, but they've also moved the British light infantry is now way over on the other side. But what's happened is this has turned into several smaller skirmishes around the field. And so we'll have to see who gets the most advantage and disadvantage out of that, because it could end up with on half the battlefield one side wins, and on the other half the other side wins, depending on what develops here. It's extremely fluid. It depends on how long the artillery has ammunition. I'm not sure if the congressional artillery is out of ammunition, just repositioning at this point. Out on the frontier here in Vincennes, we're not trying to fight the Battle of Fort Sackville, or any particular battle actually, but you know, this is on the frontier, and so supply lines were very difficult for both sides. So you never knew, you were unlikely to know in advance, you know, how much ammunition the other side had. As you can see, the muzzle flashes from the weapons is why we wanted to kind of try and delay this into twilight, because it gives you a little bit different effect than doing it in the bright sun that we usually do it in the afternoon. So it's the first time we've ever tried this, and I think it's obviously they are too time out there. Well, neither side seems very willing to give in here. See a lot of people changing positions, taking orders over to the other side, and now we've really got one battle way over to our right, another one kind of in the center. It looks like the one on the other side, pretty much everybody has been wounded or withdrawn from that one. I will tell you that the wounded on the battlefield will be taken care of by the surgeons of the victorious side and then kept as prisoners of war. And interestingly, something like 9 times more people died of diseases during the Revolution than ever died of being shot by a musket, a rifle, or a cannon. Looks like there's an officer out there has got his sword raised. It looks like he's asking for a parley or a discussion of surrender terms. He's a British commander. He is outnumbered at the moment, although not necessarily disastrously. Oh wait, but we've still got, can't see what's going on the far right-hand side of the field, so that could have an effect on this. Looks like the British commander has been taken prisoner. He's an officer, so he is very important to a prisoner exchange later on. He surrendered himself, and evidently the surrender terms were that his men could leave the field if they would do so peacefully. It looks like the commander on the congressional side did not want to risk his soldiers anymore by fighting it out. but he did keep the Crown Forces commander as a prisoner here. And there we have the 3 cheers to show us that the forces of the Continental Congress and George Washington and the 13 colonies have been victorious in our first ever Twilight battle here at the Spirit of Vincennes Rendezvous.